Focus. All right, click the links, join channel, become a member, check out, subscribe to our Patreon, various other links. So is Eric July leading an alt-right comic book hate group of fashionable Hugo Boss types off to invade Poland? That's the level of logic for SJWs. If you're anti-woke, then you're German, even if you're not actually German. They think Eric July is spiritually German because SJWs are insane. You know, actually, that's not an exaggeration. There's a lot of mental illness among the left. There's vastly overrepresented. The further left you go, the more mental illness crops up. So what happened? Perhaps you forgot 2016 elections. Trump happened. Trump derangement syndrome. That's a real thing. It broke their fragile little minds. They think this group of people making comics are the enemy. They're basically Trump, who is basically Satan. Their argument is that Comicsgate and RIPPA should not exist because they have ideas that SJWs disagree with. Yes, the SJWs were the authoritarians the whole time. When we say that the SJWs are the real istophobes, it's a meme. It's got many meanings, but it's also absolutely true. The right is not politically correct, but the left has this core of hatred, is this incandescent ball. And it's is it based on, some of it's based on ethnicity, religion, but it's mostly just a ball of hate energy, just like Ghostbusters too. And it manifests itself in different ways. It's safe to hate Christians and Europeans because the media and academia and government is controlled by critical theory Frankfurt School types who are pushing this anti-European hatred because they're trying to destroy the West, which they're very successfully doing. But if they were to get on board, and they're all on board with each other. If they were to tell you to suddenly hate the Russians, bad example. Tell you to hate the Russians. I guess they did tell you to hate the Russians. It's amazing how easily it is to get people who with herd mentality. But if they wanted to tell you if they wanted to turn things around entirely, the power of the media to turn this mob around would, because these people have this ball of hatred. They want to. It's gotta go in any direction. But the media just crafts the direction for it to go in. But it's there, and so it's like, it's not exactly istophobic. It's just hate and anger and frustration that they have inside them. Everything the left wing does is based on deception, getting you to agree to believe absurdities so they can commit future atrocities. They push nonsense ideas. Yes, all these ideas du jour are nonsense. They're fads. They will not be here in a few years. They will all go away, and all these people will be left with, the ones remaining, will be a lot of regret. If you don't go along with their nonsense ideas that you clearly know are fads, they will threaten you if you don't accept them. Then they build on from there to the point of, drag queen story hours or firing white teachers first in Minneapolis. If you object, you're istophobic. The left were the real accelerationists the whole time, which is great because they're the mainstream culture. We're the counterculture. So the worse that they make everything else, everything that's not us, everything you see before you in the mainstream, well, the better it is for people who are in the counterculture, is selling comics and social media stuff, because it makes it attractive for people to come over to our side. They see people who might be politically incorrect, but they also value free speech. And it's like when the alternative is the left wing, you go, oh, these people are crazy. They're out of their mind. Yeah, it's suddenly the right wing becomes very attractive. So Eric July wants to sell his comic. Okay, cool. It's just that simple for most people who are not crazy. It looks like a solid comic. It's selling well. It doesn't seem like that should be a problem. It doesn't hurt SJWs in any way. It's not going to, if they value Dark Knight, Image, Marvel, DC, one little comic book, even if it sells $10 million worth of comic, it's not a drop in the bucket to the mainstream, and it doesn't hurt them in any way. So, like, why would they spend these tweets? I just clipped a few tweets. There's no shortage of these tweets. These people just losing their mind over why we're buying the comic for the wrong reason, telling us that, there are these other comics that have more page count for the dollar type of thing, and they're hardcover, and this. It's yes, but if these people are SJWs and they're like transferees or otherkin type of thing. And I mean, clearly you just go, yeah, but you're all these, like, clearly you're far left and you have, you've got cognitive health issues. Isn't it more likely that we're not going to want to buy the same thing? We're not going to want to read the same. Like, you guys are reading Bolshevik globalist propaganda. We don't want to read Bolshevik globalist propaganda because that's mainstream cancer. Like, when did it not become cool to support the small businessman? I thought the left was all about the little guy. Suddenly, oh, no, you got to stick with the Marvel, DC, Dark Knight, and Image, because they're all on the same Soylent page. They're all feeding you the same globalist propaganda. We're trying to say that we don't want that. That's why the mainstream industry has been in decline for the past decade, because we're tired of it. So you got a comic that says it's anti-woke. It's like, is it anti-woke? It doesn't matter. That's actually irrelevant. And people are talking about whether or not woke has peaked. I think Gary Nerdrotic was doing a live stream last night reviewing She-Hulk, and he talked about the They Them movie, which you can see about 5 minutes of They Them. You can see about 5 minutes of She-Hulk, and you're like, oh, this is not going to get any better if I watch 10 minutes of it. And prove it to yourself. Watch 10 minutes. Watch all 35 minutes. It's horrible. It's like the first 5 minutes it pretty well describes the rest of all these shows. They're absolutely insane. They're like, in your mind's eye, you imagine the people who write these shows, and then you go up and you start searching for the writers and the people who are putting this stuff together. And you go, oh yeah, they look exactly what I thought they'd look like. Just insane ideologues, soy people, cat people who are so far in an echo chamber, they have no idea of opinions that might differ from theirs, because the media told them that any opinion that differs from yours is from literally the Hugo Boss people. So this woke stuff, you're thinking like, oh, well, companies eventually have to go back to make money, right? It's not about money. The Disney trilogy, Ghostbusters, Terminator, X-Men, Charlie's Angels, Birds of Prey, Doctor Who, Batwoman, Rings of Power, and the Game of Thrones spinoff, whatever that thing's called. I haven't seen it yet, but I mean, you can pretty well guess what it's going to be about. They know that stuff will undersell. They keep making it. They're not dumb or crazy. That's people. I mean, you hear people say that about like Trump or Hillary back in 2016. It's like they didn't get to where they are by being dumb. A little crazy, yeah, a little crazy sometimes helps. The thing is, these companies, it's not negligence for Disney or Warner Brother or recklessness. It's intentional actions. Global Marxism is their religion. They'll take Warner Brothers, Disney, and all those other companies as close to failure as they possibly can, and they might even slip over into it, because companies do fail. It's like they're too big to fail. No, that just doesn't exist unless you're subsidized by the government, which, I mean, the taxpayer. They're going to take it as close to bankruptcy as they can in the assumption that globalism will catch on. They're not entertainment companies. They're these zealot NGOs who are changing the world with propaganda, and they absolutely are. All they have to do is hold on long enough for the generational brainwashing to take effect, for the demographics to keep changing. Eventually, they hope the kids will be brainwashed by teachers pushing critical theory, Frankfurt School, Saul Alinsky, anti-European hate, that the newer generations will just accept this propaganda as normal. I don't see that happening, because I see people cutting the cord from Marxist schools and media, and those aren't public schools, they're government schools. And government and the media, they're all on the same page. It's weird that the left wing is on board with that. Homeschools, private schools, and micro neighborhood schools are catching on, especially during the past couple of years of the events. The school board did a thing like, oh, there's 2 million kids who left the school district and they're supposed to be in school. It's like, yeah, they're homeschooling. They're tired of. They saw what the teachers were teaching on, libs of TikTok, what the Zoom teachers were teaching. Oh my God, you look at the teachers; they're all a bunch of blue-haired weirdos who are teaching critical theory from the Marxist school. Oh, why would we want that? Oh, we don't. The left wing, they're realistophobes the whole time. Yeah, it's like getting people to hear that, and finally it clicks. They go, "Oh, you weren't kidding. You really they really are. They really are everything they project. They project everything they say that the enemy is. It's like, yeah, that's what they do. They're the bad people. They're bad in every way, shape, and form." And people are cutting the cord from watching mainstream media. Everyone has caught on that it's just digital Bolshevism by now. Why do you think the anti-comicsgate soy people and cat ladies are still raging 4 years later? It's not about comics. It's about globalism versus nationalism. Rejecting mainstream propaganda in its various forms is rejecting Marxism. If you're not a devotee of Karl Marx, then you're in Hugo Boss in their eyes, which is fine because at least we'll be fashionably dressed. Everything the left led by Eric July, of course, and in their mind somehow that makes sense. Everything the left says is a lie because a lot of them, flat out, no hyperbole, are mentally ill, and they were the bad guys the whole time. The mainstream media, in all its twisted dimensions, has always been a lie. They have total control of this mainstream narrative. All we have is this tiny little space to push back against the most powerful, well-funded ideology on earth. How powerful are they? All the YouTube channels that helped Trump get elected in 2016 got kicked off YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the whatever the mainstream platforms are. If you control the digital marketplace of ideas, well, you control the country. Like, look around, you see what's happening. It's like this. No, this is not organic. You realize, oh, hey, these NGO media companies are like the hidden hand that actually run the country, and they're not elected. They're answerable to no one, and the 535 people over in Washington don't seem to be doing anything about it. Yeah, maybe we should have free speech on the internet. What don't our representatives get on that? It's a good question. You have to ask them, but I don't think you get an answer. You get a lot of. I mean, here's the thing. It's 11 minutes in. Where this is end stage capital, or capitalism. No, this is end stage Weimar. It doesn't matter if it's communism, socialism, capitalism. It's the same people who are pulling the strings. Oh, we'll switch to communism. Yeah, so I mean, the Nancy Pelosi is worth $140 million under crony capitalism. Will be worth the same under communism. Why wouldn't she be? It's a club, and we're not in it. And like, but at least we're not the useful idiots. Like the left wing commie kids, they're the useful idiots who are going to put these. Like, do you want to give them complete and total unrestrained power? How well has that worked out historically? No, you don't understand. We'll do it differently this time. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of historical precedent that says you probably won't do it differently this time. This they say it's the worst system, but it's the best of the worst, or something like that. So anyway, I mean, this is really like end stage Weimar, and you know what happened. May you live in interesting times. So the thing with this comic book, he says it's anti-woke. Well, that's enough. That's enough to, you know, that's raising the flag, the red flag before the bull. That's enough to trigger them. You know, it's also enough to get a lot of free marketing, which is just, you know, genius maneuver on his part to build a platform big enough to get noticed by Fox, Blaze, Rebel, all those kind of, you know, that kind of milquetoast controlled ops media. And I'm not even referring to that, but I mean to get that publication. It's like, yeah, you increase your campaign probably by a factor of 10 because of that outside influence. That's amazing. And then, you know, to manipulate SJWs into bringing you, to shining the spotlight on you even further, and just like publicly have these arguments is just fantastic, because like a lot of the, if they're SJWs, then we're going to buy your stuff anyway. You're not losing any sales. But if you have people who are not SJWs and they see this argument, suddenly they become curious, because here's how it works. You see people fighting, and you see one side of these people who are the SJWs. And then you look at them and you go, oh, whatever they're pushing, I don't want. It's like Antifa, BLM. Whatever they're pushing, I'm on the other side of it. I'm pretty sure I'm on the other side of it. Whatever they're against, you just admitted you're a fashionable one. Whatever, however they define it. You look at the opposition, you're like, the people you're protesting are calm, reasonable, well-dressed people who want to have a discussion, and you guys are the ones who are shouting and using violence and censoring and deplatforming. The same thing applies here. You look at these people who are trying to shut down Eric July. I have no idea what Eric July is all about. He may be the world's biggest a-hole, but his public face is pretty calm and reasonable. And you look at these people, these writers for CBR, it's like, oh, you guys are nuts. So whatever you're against, let's look at this Rippaverse comic. Oh, it looks well drawn and well colored. Everything looks in the right place. It seems pretty reasonable. I mean, it's 96 pages or something. He should have made it a few pages less, and that really would have triggered him. It's just so fun to troll these people. It's like you want them to never know if you're serious or not. I can't help but notice your page count, Ethan. To never just always keep them guessing, because it gaslights them, and it also makes them crazy when they don't know what's really going on. Like, yeah, Eric July is trolling you with his Hugo Boss secret army. you got to get off Twitter if you're really that far down this. If you're that far in an echo chamber where you believe the media. You believe the media, right? Okay, okay. So, but isn't it true the media's got a long history of lying to you? Yeah, but it's the Hegelian dialectic where they cause fear, and then it's like Star Wars, the Lucas prequels. Like everything's a movie. Yeah, everything. I mean, if you have a big enough movie database, you really can't reference movies. It's like, yeah, they pretty much covered everything. You create so much fear and you just give them an out. It's like, oh, so we'll trust the media this time, even though the history of lying to us, because we want to believe them instead of like stopping to think. And maybe we might have to leave the herd a little bit. If you're an SJW and you're on Twitter, that's just going long. And suddenly you go, oh, I looked at this comic. It seems fine. It seems the preview pages, I don't have a problem with it. Oh, no. You don't understand, friend. Yikes, my guy. Bad take. That's a signal that you're leaving the herd and they're going to punish you for that. That means, no, it's a hate group. You go, oh, yeah, I don't really see evidence of a hate group with Eric July or Comicsgate or... No, you understand. They did all the stuff to BLT, POC, marginalized, oppressed, all the Marxist Bolshevik propaganda buzzwords. No. Some of these people in this group allegedly do the stuff, and you go, well, isn't it possible that it was a back and forth between, just people on the internet? It's a back and forth. It's like you say, just because one side says they're BLT, POC, and the other side, you don't know their identity, but you're saying one side is correct because they're above you on this oppression ladder. It's like you haven't prove your argument and you haven't proved their argument. You've just checked this oppression ladder and you said one side has to be correct. I go, well, I don't know the truth of that statement. And the left wing has a history of lying, so I'm gonna look at this comic, it looks fine. They go, oh, well, you're problematic also. That's how the herd mentality works, and it's herd mentality is a issue for the left wing way more than the right wing, which is cool, but it also means the left wing is usually a stronger block because they can get behind stuff where the right wing is usually fighting amongst themselves. But this has gone on long enough. Check out RIPPAVERSE. I mean, if you just type in Rippa to a search engine, it'll pop up. You can check me out, subscribe to our Patreon or the various other links. I'm also other video platforms and Gab, Telegram, though. Those are free speech platforms. And I'll see you guys all next episode.